everybody for joining me on this school session. I think it's going to be super helpful for a lot of you there. Some of you may be doing portions of this, but out of curiosity, how many of you guys on the call today have heard of a term Dream 100? Anybody heard of the term Dream 100? Okay.
Just from
I know,
you.
I know a few people that work with me would have heard it because I preach it pretty often. Okay. Let me give you a bit of background into it. It's essentially a list. Okay. It's a list that you generate of contacts and influential people that surround your business that can actually help your business grow. Okay. And we all have at least 100 contacts or 100 people, whether we know them personally or whether we've spoken with them. They could be, customers you want to do business with. They could be contacts that, can help you get better material prices. There's all types of opportunity around us at all times. Okay. Now, what the Dream 100 essentially does is it takes those opportunities, those chances, those relationships, and it makes it sort of real. All right. And
Recording in progress.
the exercise here is to actually get those people out of your head or to have a system where you can capture those contacts and then make use of them. Okay. So how many of you people right now, how many people,
Or hamburger
hold on
or
one
just
second.
want something because the chicken is taco and hamburger. That is okay for you?
Taco hamburger. I don't
my
understand
God.
what that means.
It's 3 o'clock.
All right, let's mute that. Okay. So how many people on this call right now, and you can put this in the chat, just give me a one, all right? Have somebody that they've been, have done business with in the past or want to do business with in the future, and they just haven't had time to reach out to, haven't connected with recently.
Me.
Give me a one in the chat. Let me know how many of you guys have this one contact immediately in your mind that could potentially help your business to grow. Okay. So if you're a designer, if you're a custom home builder, right? These could be architects, these could be engineers, but you may have encountered them or you may know of them, but they could essentially help your business to grow. Okay. So here's the first thing that we want to sort of discuss. Most of my clients and most of contractors that come in have a common problem. It's either between not having enough guys, all right, or not having enough leads. All right. So the reaction to not having enough leads sometimes is to purchase ads, purchase advertising, purchase marketing. Okay. And we know that ads in particular can be super expensive. All right. And if you're not properly set up for them, if you don't have a good sales process, if you don't have a way of managing those leads, okay, they often are not profitable. Okay. So the truth is the best leads come from trusted referrals. Okay. Trusted sources. Now, can you survive entirely on referrals alone? Not really. Okay. Not at scale. Okay. So you do need a mix of both. But a lot of us right now, okay, if you are running ads, are missing huge opportunities to continue to see growth, and to continue to grow your business by building relationships. Okay. And understanding that relationships in business are the most important thing that you can do for sustainability and for scalability. Okay. So when we think about the relationships that we build, all right, and the kind of business that we want to run, all right, how often are we considering, what impression we're leaving with contacts? So let me give you a scenario. Let me kind of give you an idea of what I'm talking about here. All right, I'm going to give you a scenario. We have a supplier that comes and sees you. Okay, he gives you a rock bottom low price. All right, leaves your office. You don't hear from him for a couple of weeks or months at a time. All right. That's your supplier one. Supplier two comes in, takes you out for lunch, gets to know who you are, knows when your birthday is. You guys have some things in common. Knows when your kids' birthdays are, and consistently contacts you. All right. But he's a little bit higher than the low price supplier. Which supplier are you doing business with? Which supplier do you hold a higher status or higher value on? Supplier two, right? We tend to go there because he made time in his schedule to make us feel important. Okay. This exists in all areas of business. All right. Now I want you to really think about it. Think about the way that you're doing business. Are you supplier A or you supplier B? Okay. So when I hear the terms that, um, that you can't get your price, or you're being underbidded and all these other things, what I often imagine in my own mind is they're probably supplier A, right? They've made a transactional relationship with their prospects, with their long-term customers, and they're not truly connecting with them to be able to present value or to be able to be of value to their customer. Therefore, you're doing what you would naturally do, right? You would compare on price. All right. If that's all you ever do is just bid your customers' work, all right, and keep things transactional, you don't get to know them. You don't try to understand them and understand what problems they're trying to solve. All right. You hold a lower value and a lower status in their mind. Okay. Same thing goes. I think a lot of guys miss the opportunity when they do get a good customer. All right. They they do a great job. They're profitable, and then they just let that customer move on. They do nothing else with them. They don't contact them. They don't, it's like it was like a transactional relationship. All right. That's a big mistake if you're trying to build your business. That's a big mistake if you want to survive beyond just running ads. All right. Beyond just bringing in new customers one time. Okay. The reality of it is if you have made a connection with someone, you've, had a good project with someone, all right. I feel it's absolutely part of your responsibility to continue to be in contact with them. Okay. Now, for most of us, you're going to tell me right away what I'm already expecting to hear. Jay, I don't have time for that. I don't have time. How am I going to fit that into my day? How am I going to fit that into my schedule? And the first thing I'm going to say is, well, let's make let's make sure that we're prioritizing and that we understand what that relationship represents to the outcome of your business. Okay? So, I'm going to share a really brief story. I'm sure all our members are sick of hearing it, but I practice the Dream 100, and we're going to get into the nuts and bolts of it very shortly. But for the last decade, I've had a particular builder on my Dream 100 list that I was unable to do business with. Okay, he gave me lots of opportunities to price, lots of opportunities to keep his uh, preferred roofer on being honest, but I never truly got a job out of him. For over a decade, I've been chasing him. All right, and last December we made a decision and that I was going to take it to the next level. So he's been on my top 100 list of people that could influence my business and bring a lot of change. And I did two really important things. Number one is I deeply researched him and figured out some things about him that I didn't already know. Okay, so number one is that he celebrated his kids' weddings and their birthdays at a particular restaurant. Okay, this was really, really important. Now, he didn't personally have a social media account, so I had to go one step further and figure out what his kids' social media accounts were. Okay, from there, I was able to collect some data and information. All right, hold on, hey guys, can we just keep muted if you can? Perfect. All right. So I gathered this information. I also figured out that he owned a maple syrup farm that was close by to us. Okay. So around Christmas time, I decided that to get through his door, what I was going to do is send him a Christmas gift. All right. This Christmas gift consisted of maple syrup foot, like a foot that we had made, and invitation to his favorite restaurant, which happened to be a really high-end restaurant that I knew that he enjoyed and that he had been to. And I sent reservations in a nice gift box. All right. I had it couriered right to his desk. All right. So again, it made it right directly to him. And I basically invited him out to lunch at a $700 a plate restaurant. And he accepted. Okay. So he already knows roughly who I am. He's, he had some good, he had known, vaguely who I was. But when we went out for lunch, I got to know a couple really important key points about him. The first thing was that his business, by the way, he does about $150 million in custom luxury homes. All right. So he actually did Drake's house. He's done a couple of other really huge projects. But his whole business and his whole success has come from exactly what I was trying to do, was networking, right? He never advertised, never marketed, all right, but he was really, really good at networking, okay? And when I met him for lunch, we got into a conversation, and he was old German guy, so he told me exactly how things were. And when I asked him why, I was never able to get any business from him, he told me he just didn't like me, and that was okay. Had to deal with that. Had to let that bounce off me. When I got into why he didn't like me, it was to do with my age, believe it or not, him being 80, me being under 40, and that the size of my business, he didn't think I could be under control. There's a couple other things. And over lunch, we had a conversation about the legacy he was looking to leave behind, right? Him being in his 80s, I felt that the conversation was appropriate. And I told him basically, hey, listen, I'm going to do business with, probably your kids in the future, right? I'm going to be around. I'm not going away. I've been pestering you for the last decade. All right. Wouldn't it make sense that we work together, at least so that you can set your standards with me and pass on that to your kids, rather than dealing with, the other guy, the other contractor, for example, was in his 80s as well, another roofing contractor. I was like, what would make sense? So we came to an agreement that he would share some of the work. And since December, we've done about $880,000 worth of business. Okay. So that one decision, okay, around connecting with the right person. All right. Now he hasn't given me all of his work, but that one decision, okay, from a dollar point of view, cost me about $2,000. All right, but resulted in $880,000 worth of work. Okay, now compare that to any other advertising that you're doing right now. Just think about it. Okay, think about everything else and the time required, all of the other activities that you may be doing. Okay, what would have a higher ROI? What would be a better return of time invested, money invested to develop a customer? Okay. Now put this into your business perspective and think about, what opportunities you're missing, all right, while chasing smaller ones that, again, they're necessary. Don't get me wrong, right? It's absolutely necessary. All right. But these relationships, these top 100 relationships, fill in the gaps. They fill in the large pieces in your schedules and keep your business growing consistently. Okay. The reality of it is, guys, no matter which way you want to slice it, and I have a good saying for this, competition only exists at the bottom. Okay. Everybody else is collaborating and working together. Okay. Everybody else. There is no competition. Okay. If you're stuck in that mindset, it's time to really process what one person could do or one relationship could do to your business versus trying to build new clients every day. Okay. And again, even if you are a electrical service company, all right, that depends on it. We still have the same fundamental problems. There's times when, traditional ads and advertising and referrals, that there are gaps in those systems, right? How can we be filling them in with other relationships? All right. How can we be filling them in with meaningful people that are going to help our business to grow? Okay. So let's talk about a very simple 5-step framework for building your dream 100 list. Okay. And this is the list of people that you want to become obsessed with, that you want to figure out as much information that you can, so that when you do reach out or you do make that contact with them, it's meaningful. Okay. It's not just you showing up and going, hey, I'm a contractor, I need work. Okay. That's the lowest form. That's what we call spam, right? Nobody wants that. Okay. I'm sure you guys all have a bunch of spam emails. You have a bunch of contacts or people trying to contact you, solicit you for business, but they're all doing the same thing. They're giving out generic messages that aren't adjusted for who we are. All right. Doesn't show any human side to it. It's just soliciting you for business. All right. And they have a very low response rate. Okay. You have to do them at high volume to get any sort of results. Whereas this one list, if you put the right time into it and you gather the right information, all right, especially over time, you're going to be able to develop meaningful relationships. Okay. And it comes down to one simple thing. All right. What do people care most about in this world? Anybody? What do people care most about?
Themselves.
Themselves. Yes. So, what's the easiest way to connect with somebody? What's the easiest way to connect with someone, no matter what, whether they like you or dislike
Talk
you?
about themselves.
Let them
Right.
talk about themselves. Yeah.
Make it about them.
Yeah.
Just make it about them. Think about the whole story I just shared. It had nothing to do with me.
Nice.
All right.
Talking about how
I'm what's
proper
that?
network bring a lot of business. So.
Okay. Might have missed that one, but nonetheless, all right, we've got to make it about them. It can't be about us or our company. You have to first make someone feel special. You have to make them feel like they're the most important customer to you in the world. All right. This means going beyond what you would normally do to acquire a customer, right? This goes beyond even looking at them as a customer at all. All right. We got to look at them as a human being that we want to connect with. Okay. That we want to get to know, that we want to have a relationship with. Okay. And these are big decisions, believe it or not. You know, get this list right and make the right type of contact. This will change your whole business, your whole structure, the way that you do everything, I promise you. Okay. So what is the 5 steps if you're just starting out, if you're just trying to get going on this? All right. Well, we need to actually define our ideal client. We need to be so clear on how this person is going to help move our business forward. Okay. And we can't make assumptions here, guys. And this is what tends to happen. All right. Is we make an assumption. So let's say, for example, we've never done work in the insurance industry. Okay. And our Dream 100 top 10 people are insurance adjusters. Okay. What do you think is going to happen? What could be the possible outcome from that? Well, it would be pretty obvious that you're probably going to end up doing some insurance work, right? If you haven't researched and you haven't figured out what kind of, opportunities there, you may find yourself very quickly being in a worse situation than you were before. Let's say, for example, you didn't realize that insurance companies don't pay upfront. They pay in 30, 60, 90-day terms. Okay? Let's just say you didn't know that you would have to do so much inspections and so many reports before you would win a job, right? Maybe you weren't informed about that. Is that somebody that you should have on that list before you're actually informed, before you actually know that this person can help the business grow? Okay? This is really about, again, being clear with yourself. It's about taking the information that you have, those beliefs that you have, and challenging them. Okay? Making sure that you're crystal clear. Okay? Asking yourself the right questions around if this will actually help the business to grow, if this is something worth pursuing or not. All right. And it does have to do with, what they can afford to pay, many different factors. And in the workbook, if you go through that process, okay, the more time you spend and doing these kind of things, the easier it is to build the list. Okay. The more clearer it becomes who you should be targeting. And obviously the easier it is to actually target those people. Okay. So let me give you one more example before I move on from this. If you absolutely hate new construction, but you have people on your list that do new construction, I can promise you're going to end up with a lot of stuff that you dislike doing. Okay? So that's the common sense that we want to apply to it, that we want to be sure of. All right? And if we're going to put our effort and energy into this, we need to make sure that all of those factors are considered. Okay? So once we build this list, and when we start out, our list tends to be, not perfect. Obviously, it takes consistency to make this really meaningful. All right, but for you guys that have never done it before, all right, done is better than perfect. All right, as long as we have our boundaries defined, as long as we have our parameters defined, getting people onto that list that fit those objectives, all right, is your very next step. Sorry, guys. Give me one more second here. Okay. So now we have our list. Okay. How are we going to enrich this list? So I'm going to use this term. Maybe some of you have heard it, maybe you haven't. But we want to actually enrich the list. So we have their name, maybe you have their email, we have their phone number. Okay. But there's another layer of information that's available to you that you want to start to collect. Okay. That can be things like what they like. All right. Facebook's a great source of information. Maybe, what hobbies they have. Okay. Getting to know somebody nowadays is a lot easier than 10, 15 years ago. All right. But most of our information, most of us are sharing information and data points about ourselves consistently to the world. Okay. What it takes and what it requires is for somebody to actually go back and look at comments, look at shares, look at the kind of content that they're consuming. And that's mostly available. Okay. In your Dream 100. If you're using LinkedIn, that's a wealth of information. Okay. Understanding, again, is this person fitting that target customer? Is it, is their likes and stuff aligned? Okay. And what we want to do is accumulate that information. We are collecting data. We're collecting stuff that will allow us to, in the future, make meaningful contact, make meaningful approaches to these customers. Okay. One of the mistakes we can make here, guys, is trying to be perfect with this. I'm of the school of thought, again, you heard me say it, done is better than perfect. Collect everything that you can find, okay? Don't worry about the relevance, all right? Just make sure that you're categorizing and organizing it as best as you possibly can, okay? Now, I've given you a spreadsheet in the workbook that will give you sort of a guideline for collecting this information and what kind of information you'd be looking for. But the whole point of this exercise is to gather information, to gather things and to do research that nobody else is willing to do. Okay. Right now that we have this information, okay. So for example, we happen to know that our customer loves Starbucks. Okay. They've checked in at Starbucks multiple times at a certain location. Okay. What do you think is more valuable? Inviting them to that location of Starbucks, all right, inviting them out personally and having a little bit of information and context to who they are, or just inviting them out for coffee? What do you think would hold more weight? What do you think would connect with your client more, or your prospect, I should say?
The
Pretty
Starbucks, obviously.
obviously, right? So again, that's all it takes though, right? So to get outside of the normal noise, we have to show people that we've actually know who they are. We've actually not go over the line and be creepy, but like, again, there's a subtlety to this, right? There's a subtlety that you can add a detail where people know that you genuinely have done your homework. You're there to play and you're there to make an impression with them. Okay. Now, once we've got all this information, once we've gathered everything into our Dream 100, and here's the thing about the 100 number, all right? I want you to understand something. A lot of times we tend to want more. We want more contacts. We want 1,000 people on this list. We want more and more and more, and we just think that more is going to get us more. That's not true, okay? In the Dream 100 list, you have to understand that each one of these contacts, if properly done and properly researched, okay, is going to take you some time. It's going to take an investment of time, all right? And you're not going to get them all the first shot, the second shot, the third shot. This is a commitment over time to continuously work to be in front of them, okay? Just like good marketing and advertising is consistently in front of a client, this is the exact same thing, okay? So maybe we're planning things around those touch points. And I'm going to be honest with you, again, my Dream 100 list, from the original list that I did over a decade ago, I still have 10 or 15 people I haven't done business with, okay? But I'm still on a regular monthly basis making contact. And some of them have never, ever responded, ever, okay? And that's okay. That's all right. All right. They know who I am. You know, when the opportunity comes and I'm not willing to give up, and I've been able to systemize it to a point where it's personal enough, all right, that people respond, all right, they react. But again, if you're looking at it as a whole, all right, you're not going to get everybody, and that's okay. All right. So now that we've gathered this information, now that we've got unique things about that particular person, all right, this is where you can add some automation. You can add some tech to it. All right. For the sake of the conversation today, I'm going to talk briefly about how we can automate those things and how we can expedite this this entire process. All right. But I want you to understand first, all right? A lot of us have the tendency to want to skip steps, all right? Doing the work of getting to know your customer, or your prospect, doing the work of doing this manually first before you start to add in bells and whistles and move faster, all right, is the key to making it work, okay? And I see it over and over and over again where, you know, guys start with this and then they just let it go. They let it slide. They make one contact, they don't get the results that they were looking for, and away it goes. Okay. Or on the other side where they get too anxious in the process and they want to speed it up. So they add in automation that doesn't actually create personalized contacts. They you know, won't make the visits. They won't pick up the phone. Okay. In that case, it's not going to be as effective as you'd like. Okay. It could still be effective. But again, I want to remind you guys, all right, that we're trying to raise the status. We don't want to be seen as the desperate, hungry dog looking for work. All right. We want to be seen, all right, as, you know, the opportunity to our opportunity, right? We want to be seen as somebody that's high value, high status. Okay. So the way we think about the messaging, the way that we want to approach them, okay, is absolutely fundamental to making this work and to being able to have a long-term relationship versus a transactional relationship. Okay. So like I said, you start adding automations and, you know, over making it generic. All right. You're going to find yourself being used for transactional relationships because that's what you've put out. Okay. So what does this mean? Let's give some real world examples. So just even recently, you know, we have reached out some realtors we've kept in touch with, and we were able to get an 80K referral. That was just this week. Okay. 82% of homeowners prefer referrals from someone they trust. Okay. And a built list once benefits you for years. Okay. So like I said, a decade for me, that I've had the list, and yes, people do come on and off that list. Okay, just to be clear. All right, we're constantly adding people but removing people, but at the end of the day, it's a process. It's a part of your business and how you do it. Okay, and you have to understand the value of it. The cool thing about it is you can absolutely track ROI on it. Right, we can absolutely track the time we've spent, the amount that we've invested. Okay, to know if this was, you know, a direct response marketing activity. This isn't brand marketing. Okay, brand marketing is where you may as well be burning your cash, right? That's things like putting your name on the hockey boards at the local arena. All right, those kind of things are what we call brand marketing. Coca-Cola does brand marketing. Okay, Coca-Cola can afford to do brand marketing because they can spend $3 billion a year on brand marketing, just seeing their advertisement. Can anybody here afford to spend $3 billion to have their brand recognized? Nobody. Absolutely nobody. So we have to be focused on direct response. Direct response is exactly what I'm discussing here. It's reaching out to contacts. It's making meaningful contact and getting business back in return. All right. Every hour we spend, every gift we send, every you know, touch point can be tracked and worked into an ROI where you can see the return on your investment. That's important. All right. And anybody doing marketing at all needs to be focused at direct response marketing. There's nobody here, unless you're doing 20, 30 million, that can afford brand marketing. Okay. So how do we get started? What do we do? Okay. I've given you an entire workbook, but here's the quick wins for today that I want you guys to focus on. All right. Don't think of a list of 100. think of a list of 10 people, all right, who talk to your clients, all right? Let's
Okay, we
message
don't have the
one of them.
workbook.
It's in the chat there.
No, it's not.
No,
No.
You're slacking. You never put it in.
I did so. I see
You
it.
lie.
Hold on.
It said July.
Let me resend it to everyone. There we go. All right. Let me know if you guys got it now. You should have it now.
Is it the meeting notes? Or no, that's
Oh,
different?
you know what? Don't I feel silly? This is going out to a note taker. I'm not sending it to everyone, so give me one sec.
Oh, okay.
My mistake, guys. Uh, And for whatever reason, it's not allowing me to share it. Give me one sec, I'll figure this out. Okay. Here we go. Let's see if we get it now. No, it's going to a note taker. Ugh. Main chat. Here we are. Sorry, guys.
You act like you don't do this every week.
I know every single week, right? But somebody threw me off because they were having a chat with me and I didn't change the chat. So here it is now. There we go. All right. Should have everything now. Now, can you guys see my screen again?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we can see
Right.
it.
So we're going to message just one of them. All right. And we're not going to make an ask. All right. We're going to add value. All right. So again, the difference between asking for business and soliciting, all right, and building value, all right, is literally night and day. So building value, how can we build value with an ideal customer? Anybody have any ideas on how you can build value without asking?
I'm thinking of like, let's say I contact a realtor. I can say, hi, do you have any clients that are looking to buy, but they need clarity on a reno budget in order to make that decision.
Okay. So can I share with you an example of building value before I ask?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what about referring business to them? Right? We want to build value, big value with somebody right away. You're going to reach out to them and maybe you share a client of yours that could use their services. You do an introduction, right? Recently, we were on our Dream 100 list. We have a client that owns a large wrecking yard. It was pretty easy for us to refer two of our other roofers that are in our network to take their scrap to them. Okay. Again, easy way to make contact. I want to give you this referral. I want to give you this lead or this opportunity. All right. Without an ask. Okay. How would you feel if somebody brought business to your table? Would you be keen to, having a chat with them after that?
For sure.
Yes.
For sure. Right. How many of you guys could refer other people? Right. So let's take the example of a plumber, electrician. How many times do you get to a call where maybe they need an HVAC tech?
Yep.
Maybe they need other services. You should be networking with other people that are dealing with the same customers you are. Now, how are we going to get their attention? How are we going to make meaningful value to them? Simplest way, we're gonna demonstrate what we're looking from them instead of asking. Hey, I want to get all your electrical referrals.
Mhm.
I'm going to send you all my HVAC, but I'm not going to call you and ask. I'm going to start sending you them and leave it for you to reciprocate.
Yep.
Okay?
Scratch my
Simple,
back.
easy,
That's yours.
right? Now we can
Yeah.
build relationships. Now we can also have a conversation, then take them out for lunch. we can start to form an alliance with them that could last a lifetime. Okay. But until you build value first, okay, and there's a million ways to do it, until you show somebody that you're not there like everybody else, just banging on their door to ask for things without building any value, right? We're in that world. No one trusts anybody, right? You have to demonstrate the value. You have to make sure that you're thoughtfully doing these things. Okay. It's not a matter of just, asking everybody in your network if they got work. Okay. You've got to be more sophisticated than that. And the reason why, again, is it's status. Okay. It's looking at a relationship not just as a transaction or a one-time transaction, but as a lifetime of opportunity. Okay. When we change that, all right, there's another thing that happens that's really beautiful that I genuinely appreciate. Okay. If you're connecting with these people who have influence in your business, all right, do you think your energy goes up or down? Your personal energy. Do you think that goes up or down?
Up.
For sure, right? Do you think that can become contagious? How many of you guys think that maybe your ideal top 100 feels isolated in their business and would love to have another business owner that's, reaching out to make contact? Would love to have lunch with somebody else that's doing the same thing that they are, maybe in a different area. Some of the best relationships and some of the reasons I'm even here come from doing these things. Okay? Comes from, separating myself from the outcome, all right, and genuinely trying to build value with somebody without the expectation of getting something in return. Okay? Just to connect with another business owner, have a lunch and discuss about business, you would be blown away on how your business will improve. Okay? So again, case in point, for us, we deal a lot with builders, all right? When we have a project with a builder and we take them out for lunch, do you not think they tell us what they liked and didn't like and how to improve and how to get better? Absolutely they do. And they appreciate us taking that time to listen.
Jim,
Okay?
I
Yeah.
have a question.
Sure.
How do you do it if you can't find anything online about them? I already been trying to do this in the past few days and couldn't find anything, or at least anything meaningful on LinkedIn or Twitter or
That would be rare, and I would be surprised by that. But maybe you're looking at it, again from the wrong lens. So, for example, all right, the one person you have on your list. Let's say that you already have a relationship with a builder.
Mhm.
You already have a relationship that you've already done business with. And I told you this as well, right? Like the place you start with is people you already know and have connected with before in the past. That's the first place you start. Okay. Now, when you go out and you build value, all right, and you have that second or third discussion with them, all right, do you think that they have information about a potential person that you could speak to? Right? Do you think that they have personal information about them that they could share or that they will share?
um yeah, probably, but okay. So I tried with three of my contacts and I just know nothing about them. I know where they work, I know how to call them, but I can't find anything about them online.
Okay.
Three different
So
companies, and just like if I were to just, I don't know, send them a gift or something like that, I would not know what they like. I can't just ask them, that's kind of
yeah, so and Pascal, there's quite a few ways, but we call this enriching a list. So like again, if you have a Facebook account, there's more than 5,000 data points available to you about you, right? So unless they have completely like full 100% privacy, which I've never really encountered that often, um, it would be, again, you may be just not researching in the right places for it. So again, moving across the platforms, have a look, and then there's actual services like that will pull their name and give you additional information, right?
like
But
what?
even with the data that you have, right, the company that they're working at, what do you know about the company, right? How much is that available, right?
A little bit.
Okay. So again,
I know
this is all about a little bit. This is all about collecting what you can, right? And building on it. So again, you've been doing it for 3 days. That's amazing, and I'm so glad and so proud of you for starting. But this is something, like I said, that can go on for decades, right? Like this could be you want to look at this as a marathon, not a race. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be consistently in every conversation you have. All right. It's the reminder in the back of your head to write down things, right? Finding out birthdays, finding out like, when you actually meet with this person, going to see them. Like we're always giving up personal information about ourselves. Always. Am I wrong?
If you speak with someone for, let's say, 20 minutes or more, yes. But if you talk to someone a few minutes on the phone,
Mhm.
maybe not.
Okay, so great. So then the first rule would apply here, Pascal. We gotta come through the door building value. If we have their contact information and we know who they are, we're gonna come through the door with a meaning, something of value to them,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'll give you an example of building value as well in those kind of situations. All right. Research what problems they have to deal with, right? So what was the contact? What business were they in?
Custom builder in commercial renovations.
Perfect. Do you know where any other projects are?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So you know what I'd be
Oh,
doing?
you mean like, the
Yeah.
exact address? No.
No? So like on their website, they're not posting like regular projects, or that business isn't showing projects that they're building currently?
No.
Hmm.
No, no. One of them has been in business since 1902. They
Okay.
barely have anything online. Another one has been in business since 1945. Same thing, barely has anything. And then the third one's been in business since 2017. But I know he likes hockey and the Blue Jays. That's about it.
That's probably enough. Okay, so again, if we want to think creatively about it, where are their projects? That's the first place that I'll go, right? The first place that I will dive in on. Again, because I would prefer to be in front of people, right? The most meaningful opportunities you get are being in front of people. But if you know where their job sites are, okay, that's the first point of making yourself different in your communication. Like reaching out and be like, hey, I noticed you had this project on XYZ. I understand, whatever you can determine from that project, all right, and make an introduction for yourself, right?
Uh, Even if it's just with the foreman.
Absolutely. I mean, again, if you are so bold, you would go out and meet with them on site. There's nothing against that. Popping into site, making sure that you come respectfully, getting to know who their name is, getting cards, stuff like that. Even just looking at the signs outside of the job sites, okay, can give you a world of information.
Okay.
Okay. So again, you have to think of the data that we're all, spewing at any given moment. All right. We're all giving up information about ourselves, all of us.
Hmm.
Okay. And again, social media has accelerated this. So how many of you guys aren't on social media? Probably not too many in one form or another, right? So like, could we get birth dates? Could we, collect all that? Now that might not be what you're going to use immediately, all right? But you've gathered that information. Okay? You're creating a folder or persona of that person that you want to do business with, right? Maybe Pascal, you may find out the subcontractors that work on their jobs, right? Another great source is forums, right? So again, find out, who the foremen are on their jobs and have a personal conversation with them.
How did you do it with an 80 years old? He's probably a ghost online. Like,
Total ghost. Nothing. So I actually went through his son's social media accounts. That's how I got the
okay.
information. So I noticed that his sons, right? All I needed was his name, that his sons had social media, and his son's wives had social media, and they were sharing, life experiences openly on an Instagram, right?
Okay.
Again, all I needed to know was what restaurant that they had attended multiple times to know. And I researched the restaurant. I found out it's around the corner from their office. I understood that he'd been there multiple times, so he would know what that restaurant meant.
Mhm.
Okay. And again, absolute ghost. No, never advertise, no marketing. Like, again, rolls in a totally different circle. All right. Now, I was able to collect other information from suppliers. All right. Suppliers gave me a lot of information, information they could share with me. Other contractors that worked with them. Okay. There's so many things. And you will come across them if you keep your ears open and you keep a process behind you and how you use this information. Right. So
Okay.
what's that?
I said okay.
All right. Is that help a little bit?
I think this is
Uh,
also being just a good stalker. So
It
kind of
is. It is.
that's why this
So,
is hilarious because yeah, you kind of just have to stalk people a bit. Like I'm notorious for finding stuff out about people from high school and being like, now they're doing this, this, this. And my friends are
right.
like, how the hell did you find this? I'm like, I don't know. I just went through down this like whole rabbit hole into this Facebook, that Facebook. So
That's
it's
right.
stalking essentially is yeah, stalking.
So for you guys out there that are uncomfortable with that end of it, all right, we have a great team. We have a great process for finding out and enriching lists. Okay. So if maybe you're not the person to do the stalking, all right, and you find it frustrating, and for most of us, like you would spend more time than it was worth. All right. There are services. We offer a service that will stalk out your Dream 100. All right. If you have it well defined, we're more than happy to help you with that. Book a call with us. We can build you a strategy. We also add in the other side of it. So now that we've gathered all this information, we have 100 people with unique contacts, with unique conversations. How many here have time to follow up with them every day or every month or every week?
Nope.
Nope. Right. So we come back down to the fundamental problems, right? Even though that we know it's going to yield big benefits for our company, how many of us actually have that time, right? So you have two options here. Actually, you probably have more than two, but I'll present two options to you. Number one, again, you can work with somebody that's going to do that outreach on your behalf that is trained and good at it, all right? Or number two, you can delegate it down to staff that you already have, and you can allocate a certain amount of time where we are going to focus on this Dream 100 list. Okay. Either way you want to do it. All right. Either way you want to see it, there is enormous value and ROI to having it done. All right. If it's not your cup of tea to stalk people, as Lila so properly put, that's totally cool. Okay. Doesn't mean we don't do it. Doesn't mean we don't find somebody who absolutely thrives in that kind of environment. All right. Um, Again, there's people out there that absolutely do it, and they're very, very good at it. Okay. So again, just to give some context, all right, if we're a remodeler, all right, focusing on designers, maybe tile reps or architects, all right, these might be on your Dream 100 list. Now you notice that, hey, some of those people may be subcontractors or maybe, people that we, come in contact with. That's fine. All right. You should have suppliers on your list. You should have people again that can help your business, grow or can be a great source of information. It always kind of strikes me that most of us don't understand how suppliers operate. We don't understand how they, conduct their business, and we don't use them. Actually, use is a bad word. We don't collaborate with them enough. All right. Number one, in terms of downside to having a supplier take you out for lunch or getting up to date on new products or stuff that they may be offering, all right, what kind of information can be shared in those calls or in those appointments or over time? And more to that, maybe you can negotiate lower terms in your material, right? If we're not having those relationships and we don't make it a point, all right, to go out and meet with people face to face and have those discussions, all right, chances are you're leaving a lot of money on the table. You're leaving a lot of information, a lot of um, opportunities as well, right? So again, looking at roofers, maybe it's bin rental companies. Tons and tons of my referrals comes from them as well, right? Realtors, another popular one. Property managers, even if they don't have, directly what you're looking for, all right, they in a lot of ways are networkers. Realtors of all people, again, and Lilo will back me up on this, their whole job, their whole process, if they're good at what they do, is networking, right? they can't rely solely on advertising. All right. They have to network. They have to ask for referrals. They have to, if they're a successful realtor, 90% of them are making their money off of their Rolodex, or I shouldn't even say Rolodex nowadays, but their contact list, right? Landscapers, maybe we're networking with fence builders, nurseries, home builders, okay? Anybody that can have influence, or anybody that is regularly coming in contact with your ideal prospect. Those are what we call gatekeepers, right? All right, or direct influencers. Okay, so a couple of things that I wanted to go through with the Dream 100 workbook. Okay, so in the workbook, you guys will find that we have a tracker. Okay, so for you guys that are doing this yourselves and that are going to be building, I put in a Excel sheet that will help you to kind of collect some data and some information on your ideal prospect. We've also put in a full step-by-step process for how you research your ideal customers, how you find your ideal avatar. Okay, like I said, this is a very hard and difficult activity if you're not absolutely clear on who that avatar is. Okay, and it's very easy to target the wrong people and invite the wrong opportunity if we're not asking very important questions. So that workbook's going to help you to go through it. If you invested, a couple of hours into, really sitting down and looking into those things, your business is going to, benefit from that huge now and into the future. Okay, it actually has impact on every level of your business. All right, and we should all be very clear on who we can do business with and who we shouldn't be doing business with. All right. That's actually the biggest indicator of a mature business, is having an absolute clear idea of who their ideal customer is and for what reasons. Okay. So again, I've included some worksheets there for our clients and for people that are working with Contractor AI. Pretty excited to launch this Dream 100. For you guys, we will be using the Contractor AI software, and you guys all have access to our VAs that will do 10 hours of research for you and help you to enrich your list. Okay. Next, what we're going to do is put a pipeline into GHL for you. Okay. In that pipeline, all right, we'll be able to track this entire campaign, all right, and tag them from your actual contacts list. Okay. We'll also be able to create some steps and some tasks in our strategy calls. We'll be able to go over if we are going to give some gifts, if we are going to, really focus in on our top 20. All right. We have email sequences, we have gift ideas, we have a whole bunch of things that we want to create, and we'll be working with you on that, as well as how to tag them. So we do have a full SOP on this. I suggest that on your next strategy call, or if we've already been discussing this, that we book in with Claudia, and we will get you set up for getting your Dream 100 list researched. Okay. Anybody have any questions? Anybody have any ideas about their Dream 100 list and how they could utilize it? I would be very shocked if you guys didn't have any.
I have a question. I've been gathering, obviously, I'm sure everybody has been gathering business cards forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
From, years and years. So I started putting those on high level as like a B2B kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah, so I think I'll have my admin or one of the interns just plug those all in, and like, I know you're saying make it more personal, but is that a good idea to email
Yeah.
blast them or remind them of us, or I don't know,
Yeah,
stuff like that?
so why we're going to use GHL is that we are looking for unique data points. All
Yeah.
right. So when we put those into the custom fields, what that's going to allow us to do is actually generate personalized emails and personalized like strategies to that client. So this is sort of some next level stuff. So the contact's number one. All right.
Right.
Once we enrich that list and those lists will be available to see, we can look at what they've opened, what they've engaged with, what they've interacted with. All right. And then, creating workflows that respond to that. That's going to be the next level to this, right? So again, we all know like the whole purpose of this is to reduce the amount of time you spend And I want you guys in front of customers. I want you going for lunches. I want you going,
Mhm.
you shouldn't be booking the appointments,
No.
right?
Right.
That's an admin process at best if we can't fully automate it.
Right.
So this is
Okay.
where we're going to give you an unfair advantage on this end and build this into workflows. Okay. But we want to keep it personal. So the only way we can keep it personal is by gathering that initial information on your clients as much as possible, birth dates, like, just those things that are there for us to collect, but most of us don't.
Mhm, mhm.
Right. And then the idea is that we will move them into move them into a opportunity for you to build a face-to-face relationship.
Got it. Got it. Okay.
Okay. So the other thing that I would love to bring up for you guys in terms of building your network and building your contacts. Okay. And we always talk about this, I think, in our groups, but I'm going to bring it up again. One of the best ways to add value, all right, and to build an impression and to raise your status to somebody, okay, I think is to genuinely show some gratitude. Okay. So let's say that you have met with a supplier, okay, that's shown you a new product. All right. You know what I would be doing? When I get back to my office or when I get back, I'm gonna write them a personal thank you letter. Right? I'm gonna send that to them. How many of you guys appreciate getting thank you letters or thank you postcards? How many of you would probably hang that in your office somewhere? Right? Greg, we've talked about this a lot. You've actually executed on it, right? Is that a good way of maybe keeping at top of mind of people? Again, after you've been to lunch with them and you thank them for their time, but you do it in a genuine way. All right? Those are things people remember, right? They may not remember, a project not going so well, but they're going to remember the little things that you do, all right, that make them feel important, right? That make them feel that you care, right? And it's not a lot of extra time. It's more about having a process, having strategy around, building these things, right? And the cool thing is you don't need to do it yourself. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. All this stuff has been done. Okay. The best sales reps in the world, the guys that are in the top 1 to 2%, all right, it's absolutely proven that they are the best networkers. Okay. Notice I didn't say closers or talkers. All right. They're the best networkers. Right. They know how to influence people, all right, in a genuine way where they build trust. Right. They build a relationship that stands time. Okay. And again, it doesn't have to be a lot of work. You don't have to be over the top. All right. There's a lot of easy ways to show someone that you appreciate them. Okay. And the first step is just identifying who those people are. Right. So if you took one step today and you only focused on the 10, contacted one, I'd love to hear your results. I'd love to hear what the outcomes were, and I would encourage you guys all to share it in our Facebook group or in our school channel. All right, I want to hear these wins, and let's get everybody else motivated as well. Okay. Notice we're not talking about having to have high tech stuff here. You don't need high tech stuff. You can do this on a pad of paper if you'd like. All right. This is just genuine 101 sales building. All right. And also from an investment perspective, okay, we're not talking about ads here. All right. We're not talking about something that's going to, be a risk or that you're going to gamble on. All right. There is no downside to maintaining relationships, to building new relationships, to networking. All of those things will end up in one way or another positively influencing your business. Okay. So I encourage everyone to take the one step that you need to today. I appreciate everybody's time for hanging out with me. If you have any other questions, I'm free for a few more minutes if you wanted to chat about them. Yeah, and if you are interested in getting this going, and taking some of the work part off, book a strategy call with us. We'd love to help with you and be able to help you build your list. Cool. Any questions? Nope. We're all good. All right, guys. We'll talk soon.
Yeah, I do have a small question. As a VA, trying to help out the client with this goal in particular, trying to build up the 100 list. As a main goal, you mentioned that there were different types of contractors here. So, for example, for a cabinet maker, what type of client should be the main goal or the aim here? Or for a concrete contractor.
Yeah, the best ones for concrete again are going to be your general contractors as a direct line. All right. Other trades that are maybe on their job sites already, networking with
Okay.
them, right? So again,
Mhm.
maybe you network with the framers, right?
Okay, framers.
Yeah, framers, network with the landscapers that are doing, the excavation and everything else. Like whoever's in on that job site, all right, they're a great source of information because they're getting bids. They're getting, they know what's going on certain builders' job sites. Just keeping them in your network is going to pay off huge, right? So again, if
Got
you're
you.
doing new construction and you're working with a group of people, all of them are opportunities to network, right? Everybody on
Okay.
that site is.
All right. All right. Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much. So
Yeah.
I'll go ahead and discuss that with the contractors. I got already assigned. Thank you.
Right. Anybody else? Okay. Everyone have a wonderful day. I hope you got some value from today's call.